What's up, everybody? We are going to be taking notes in your journal for the first time. Make sure you add this title to your first page. We're talking about Unit 1, Rational Numbers. If you need to pause at any moment, the beauty of having recorded notes is that you can pause at any moment if I'm going too fast for you, okay? So we're going to start with a learning target. I use SWBAT. SWBAT stands for students will be able to. So by the end of the note-taking session here, about 23 minutes, you're going to be able to, or students will be able to find the sum. And the word sum means like what you get after you add everything together. So sum, when you think sum, think addition. You're going to find the sum of two or more integers using a number line. Using the number line. Find the sum of two or more integers using the number line. I'm going to draw a line underneath this just so that I know that it's really important. It's separate from all the other notes. That's like the main idea. And I apologize, you're going to need to deal with my pencil, pen, and highlighter selection. Okay, so first we're going to start with some key terms. The first key term that we're going to start with, and again, if I'm going too fast for you, pause the video, please. First key term is integer. An integer, these are basically like the numbers that you're most familiar with, okay? They're all positive and negative whole numbers. Okay, 1, 2, -1, -2, all positive and negative whole numbers. There can also be whole numbers that are expressed as a fraction, but can be simplified into a whole number. So for example, -8 is an integer. -8 over 1, even though it looks like a fraction, when you simplify it, it's still a whole number, it's still an integer. 0, 2, and 4 over 2. These are some examples. 4 over 2 is also an integer because when you simplify it, 4 over 2 is like 4 divided by 2. 4 over 2 is 2. So it's the same as 2. It's definitely an integer. The next definition, the next key term we've got is rational numbers. Rational numbers. And also, you guys, like as you're going, I like using the highlighters. I've got this really cool feature where I can highlight a bunch of stuff. You don't need to use all these different colors. Just try to make sure that your notes are neat and clear. Okay, so rational numbers are any number that can be written, as a fraction or as a ratio between, or as a ratio of two integers. So as a ratio between two integers. Rational numbers are any number that can be written as a fraction or a ratio of two integers. So all integers are rational numbers, but not all rational numbers are integers. Some examples are like 1/2, 1 over 2, 0.5, also 1/2, but written as a decimal, 0.25, 1 over 4, which is 0.25 written as a fraction, negative, let's see, what am I writing? What am I erasing? -8, like the same example that we had above, and -8 over 1. So all integers are rational numbers, but not all rational numbers are integers. Also, a couple other important things. Sometimes fractions have crazy decimals. So like 1/3 is the same. If you write it in decimal form, it's 0.3333333, and that middle section there where the line over the 3, that just means that that 3 repeats over and over and over again. That's a rational number because it can be expressed or written as a fraction. An example of a number that is not a rational number is pi. Pi, if you try to write it as a number, it's 3.14159, blah, 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 blah. And those decimals never repeat. There's like no pattern to what the numbers of the decimals are. That is not a rational number because those decimal numbers don't repeat. Like in 1/3, it's just a 3 over and over and over again to infinity. Pi, 3.14159 something, 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 something. It just goes on and on and on, and there's no end to it. Okay? The next key term we're going to define is number line. We're going to be using number lines a lot right now. So most of you have seen a number line before. This is really not anything new. Number lines, sorry you guys, gotta deal with my me trying to select what pen and highlighter I wanna write with. Number lines can be written horizontally, so like this first example, horizontally, or they can be written vertically, like the line going up and down on the left, or on the right. So horizontally on the left, vertically on the right. Number lines always will have a 0 when we are using a number line. I'm going to say 99% of the time we're going to put 0 on our number line somewhere in the middle. And on a horizontal number line, as you go to the right of the 0, the numbers get larger. So all positive numbers are going to be to the right of the 0. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on and on. Anything positive is going to be to the right of the 0 on a horizontal number line. And on a vertical number line, the positive numbers go up. Negative numbers on a horizontal number line are going to go to the left. And on a vertical number line, they're going to go down. So decreasing numbers, negative numbers are to the left of 0 on a horizontal number line, and decreasing, going down from 0 on a vertical number line. These values on a horizontal number line go, starting from the left, go from the least, and on the bottom on a vertical number line is the least, and they go to the greatest to the right. And as you go up a vertical number line, they get greater. So least on the bottom, greatest on the top, or least on the left, and greatest on the right. Something that can be kind of confusing when we're talking about negative numbers, as you're going to the left, the number is getting bigger, like we're counting up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but the negative sign means that that number is smaller. So for example, what I'm writing here, negative 20 is going to be less than 10. Even though when you look at 20, it looks smaller, it looks bigger than 10, because of the negative sign, that means there's less. So negative 20 is less than 10, negative 10 is less than 0, 0 is less than 5, and then negative 5 is less than 5. We could also write like negative 20 is less than 5, even though that value 20 seems like it would be bigger than 5, because of the negative sign. That means that it's less, because we're on the left side of the 0 there on the number line. Okay. One other term that I want to introduce to you guys, we're not really going to talk much more about it just yet, is absolute value. The absolute value, also it's a good idea if you color code your notes if you're able to. but the absolute value means when we're talking about number lines, absolute value means the distance a number is away from 0. So the distance between a number and 0 on a number line. For right now, make sure you have this in your notes. We will revisit it again. But an absolute value is the distance between a number and 0 on a number line. Okay? I'm going to draw a line. Am I going to draw a line? I'm going to draw a line underneath our key terms. Key terms I highlighted in green, and we're going to talk about how we use the number line. So, using the number line, let me make sure that my handwriting is nice and clear for you guys. Using the number line, there are a few steps for the problems that we're going to be doing when we use the number line. Okay, the steps that we're going to follow. Number 1, step number 1. Sorry, you guys. I'm not quite used to writing on this iPad, so my notes will only get better as the year goes on. And I still don't like how I wrote the word steps, so we're going to write it again. This is important when you're taking notes that you write in pencil, just because you're not sure how many times I'm going to erase the same word over and over again. Okay, so finally the steps. We are going to start at 0. Step number 1 is we start at 0. Okay, first step, we're going to start at 0. Step number 2, when I get to it. There we go. Step number 2. Positive numbers. If we've got a positive number that we're counting on a number line, positive numbers go to the right because we're going to be using horizontal number lines. If you're using vertical number lines, they would go up, but positive numbers on a horizontal number line go to the right. Negative numbers go to the left. So when you're adding positive numbers, they go to the right. When you're adding negative numbers, they go to the left. And finally, step number 3, the length of the lines that we're going to draw are determined by the number. So the length of the arrows that we're going to be drawing are determined by the number. Okay, so we're going to do a few examples. We're going to do 2 examples. Example number 1. Which I'm going to color code in a different color. And then I'm going to erase it because I didn't like how I highlighted it the first time. Because I'm picky, apparently. Example number 1. Let me just make sure that you guys can see everything. We can see the steps and we can see the example. First, we're going to draw a number line as straight as you can. If you have a ruler, that would be a great thing to use right now. If you don't, just go slow, take it slow. I'm going super slow right now because I want to be nice and neat. So take it slow. We're going to draw a number line. We're going to count up from 0. I'm going to put 0 in the middle, counting up, spacing out the numbers pretty evenly. And we've got a problem that we're going to do. So we've got 3 plus negative 4. Okay, and the beauty of addition is we can write, the order doesn't matter. So we can write 3 plus negative 4, or we can write negative 4 plus 3. And I'm going to color code these in 2 different colors because we're going to be drawing on the number line. So step number 1, we're going to start at 0. So we're going to do blue first, and we're going to start at 0, and we're going to count to the right 3. So we did 1, 2, 3. You can do these little loop thingies, or you can just draw a straight line. And then we're going to start from where we left off at 3 and count to the left back negative 4. So I went a little bit fast there, a little bit too fast for me to narrate. So I would suggest pausing it and repeating, re-watching what I just did. Okay, so I went to the left 3 and then to the right 4 because and then now we're going to do negative 4 plus 3. So we're starting at 0, and I just went with a straight line here because the little loops are a little bit hard for me. So we went back 4, we went to the right 4 because we did negative 4, and then we went back to the left. We went to the left 4 and then to the right 3, and we both of those problems ended up at the same answer, which is negative 1. If that was a little bit confusing, we're going to do another example. Okay, the point is that we're counting up and down on the number line based on positive and negative. Okay, so example number 2, our expression is negative 3 plus negative 2. Negative 3 plus negative 2. We're going to get our number line going here. Again, take your time, draw a nice straight line. Pause at any moment if I'm going too fast for you. We're going to start at 0, somewhere in the middle there. I put it off to the right just a little bit, and I evenly spaced out my numbers, so I counted up to 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going back to the left down to negative 6. And when we start, if we go back and look at our steps, step number 1 is to start at 0. So I'm going to do this in a color that you guys can see. I think I'm going to do it in green. We're going to start at 0 because negative 3 is a negative number. That means we're going to go to the left to 3, to negative 3. So we're counting to the left 3 spaces, okay, because the length of that arrow is the number that we've got. Then we're going to start where we ended at negative 3, and we're going to go negative 2 more. We're going to count negative 2 more, and we're going to end at negative 5. Oh, so if that was too fast for you guys, I apologize. We're going to do practice now. So I would definitely rewind and rewatch that again. Send me an email if I went too fast. Now pause here if you want to try to figure this out on your own before I start giving you the answer. Okay, so practice number 1, we've got 2 plus 3 plus negative 7. Okay, now here is the solution. We're going to start at 0. We're going to go 2 to the right. We're going to start where we ended up, and we're going to go 3 more to the right. Then we're going to start where we ended after going to the right again. And we're going to go back to the left 7 spaces because that negative sign in front of the negative 7 means that we go to the left. And where we end up is at negative 2. So that is our answer. 2 plus 3 plus negative 7 is negative 2. Now practice number 2 is to write an equation to express the sum. So the sum is what we get when we add stuff. So I'm just going to finish setting this up for you guys right now. We've got our number line. We've got a line that's going to the right 5 spaces, then another line going back to the left 2 spaces, and then a line going to the right again 3 more spaces. So pause now, try and figure out what your equation is to express these lines on this number line. I'm just going to move that out of the way so I have a little bit more space. So we went again to the left, right 3 more spaces. Go ahead and try and figure that out. Okay, so we started at 0, went to the right 5, went to the left. So we went to the right 5, so we started with 5. Okay, then because we're going from where 5 was back to the left, that means that's -2. So we're adding -2 to that 5 value there. Then because we're going back to the right, that means, or we're going back to the right 3 more spaces, that means we are adding 3. And where we end up is at 6. Okay? And so our equation is 5 plus -2 plus 3 equals 6. And it's not just 5 plus -2 plus 3, because equations have equal signs. Okay? So this whole thing, the 5 plus -2 plus 3 equals 6, that is our equation that represents the drawings on the number line, okay? Now there's a third practice that you guys are going to work on in Schoology. You're going to go to Schoology, you're going to log on to our Math 7 page, and there's going to be a discussion board assignment for you to do, okay? You're not going to be able to see other people's answers until you submit your own answer, and this is going to be going into your grade. So make sure you participate. Make sure you have these notes in your notebook before you try to answer that question. Again, go to our Math 7 Schoology page to complete the discussion questions. And if you have any questions, please email me. I will add my email if I can to the end of this video. If not, then send me a message in Schoology.